Good day to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our tropical weather outlook video for today, Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. Let's start off today talking about 93L, which is up to a 40% chance as of today in both the 7-day and 2-day time period. Yes, this is our area of interest that we were tracking yesterday as it was off the coast of Florida. Now today it's been designated as 93L, or the designation actually came yesterday afternoon, but as of today we're tracking it as 93L. And we're going to have to watch this really closely to see whether or not it develops, especially as it heads into the Gulf tomorrow and into the end of the week. Because this is crossing over Florida right now. In fact, I'll show you a satellite image right now. You could see quite a decent convective bursts that are actually going on. So we have quite a bit of heavy rain over portions of central and northern Florida. I guess roughly around the Daytona Beach area. Jacksonville, though, definitely not in any of the heavy rain. So this is only going through central and northern Florida as of right now. And there's actually a pretty decent low-level center with this storm. I saw ASCAT earlier this morning indicate that we might have as well had a closed low-level center, and now we're just getting decently convective. We're getting decent convective activity now, but the problem is that this is already moving inland over Florida as we speak. In fact, I'll show you the radar image right now, and you can see where all the rain is moving in. Lots of heavy rain moving through Daytona Beach right now. Probably headed for Ocala in a little bit. And Orlando is in the southern fringes of the heavy rain right now. And that's also the biggest talk when it comes to 93L, is regardless of whether or not it develops, it's going to continue to bring heavy rain to portions of Florida throughout the day today, and then throughout the rest of the week into the weekend. Going to bring lots of heavy rain as we head into the central Gulf Coast, regardless of whether or not it develops. And I'll actually show you that right now here with the day one excessive rainfall. Slight risk and effect for portions of central and northern Florida right through where 93L is moving through right now. And it's especially important to mention the heavy rainfall threat from this system because of just how much heavy rainfall and flash flooding we've just seen over the past week. And I've said that the past several days straight, but I'm going to continue to mention it again because it is going to be a huge threat when it comes to 93L. And it's going to be a huge threat regardless of whether or not it develops. But in terms of the future of 93L, in terms of its development prospects, I'll show you the model track guidance right now. It's really all going to come down to its track because it is over central and northern Florida right now. And a lot of the models, especially last night into today, have really kind of begun to converge on the idea of this moving over northern Florida and then barely making its way out into the Gulf. And at most it's probably only going to have maybe 36 hours of time to develop over the Gulf. So it's really going to depend on where does it emerge, and especially how quick does it consolidate, because right now, going back to the satellite image, still dealing with northerly shear, which is why probably this has not gotten together quicker, because I'm pretty sure had there not been any northerly shear and we were just purely seeing development of convective bursts, this probably honestly would have become a tropical system, a designatable system before heading into Florida. But we are dealing with some northerly shear right now. So in fact, the low-level center appears to be somewhere right in here because you see all this convective activity right through here moving inland to Florida right now. But the low-level center has actually not moved inland yet. I think it's actually still somewhere right in here, but all this convective activity that you see is the mid-level center. So bottom line, 93L is kind of disorganized in terms of its structure, and we're just going to have to see how do things play out. A lot of the models, I guess, are kind of latching onto the idea of this low-level center kind of moving inland and then moving northward, slightly west-northwestward over Florida, and then barely emerging out over the Gulf. Conditions will slightly be more favorable, at least upper level wind-wise, over the Gulf. So I'm curious to see, honestly, if we end up seeing maybe a center relocation of some sort, slightly further to the south than what the models have, or I guess if this ends up just staying right near the northern Gulf Coast, then we maybe will not see as much development. And that's certainly what the models are indicating right now, especially when you look at the intensity guidance. Pretty much none of them have this developing and becoming anything significant, especially compared to what the icon was showing yesterday. And I say what the icon was showing yesterday because I'll show you in a little bit, even the icon today backed off on showing a significant system as well. So let me actually show you what the operational models have for right now, starting off with the GFS. You can see quite potent vorticity signature coming into Florida today. And once again, honestly, if this was slightly more organized, if this had slightly less shear, it really would have not shocked me if this would have developed fully and actually become a designatable system before heading into Florida. But this is very disorganized because of shear, and the GFS kind of seems to think that the low-level center is just going to move inland over northern Florida and then never really fully emerge once again over the Gulf. And so what we end up just having is this stretched out mess that kind of traverses the northern Gulf Coast. And that'll still bring heavy rain. Don't get me wrong. As I said, and I will continue to say, excessive rainfall will be the threat with this storm, regardless of whether or not it develops. But at least in the GFS prospects of this kind of just staying on land, that's definitely you're definitely not going to see any development from this kind of setup that the GFS is showing. The Euro pretty much showing basically the same. Really nice signature though as it heads into Florida there. Although, curiously enough, the Euro does not have this inland yet, so I guess maybe that is the low-level center that is not moved inland, because the mid-level center, as I just showed you on satellite, definitely has moved inland over Florida, and we'll have to watch that and see. We'll see what it tries to do in the Gulf, because still suspicious of these models, but and honestly, you can kind of see what it does a little bit here. We have this low-level center which moves over northern Florida and then just completely moves inland, then eventually dies out, and then you see, especially right here, before it finally moves inland over southeastern and south central Louisiana, another low-level center kind of forms. You can kind of see that here. This low-level center moves inland, and then another one just completely reforms here right off the coast of Louisiana. So we'll have to watch to see if that happens, but both the GFS and Euro, two solutions kind of just throwing a broad, stretched out mess that is not really anything too consequential in terms of being a major tropical storm, but will still be consequential when it comes to the flooding rain. Please keep that in mind. And then finally, the icon, and this is really the most curious thing today so far, because just look at what the icon does. Pretty much in line now with what the GFS and Euro have been showing all along, and that is nothing. Especially compare that to, let's say, the 12Z run of the icon yesterday. Certainly not like that, where it had a 985 millibar, probably low-end hurricane moving into southeastern Louisiana. Definitely, it's a night and day difference yesterday compared to today. It just really goes to show how quickly things change when it comes to the tropics. But of course, we're going to have to keep an eye out on 93L. We're going to have to watch it as it moves across Florida and then eventually emerges into the Gulf. Does it redevelop and reconsolidate and actually become a decent tropical system? Or is it just going to do what the models show right now, and that is it'll remain a stretched out mess? We'll have to see, but remember, flooding rainfall will be a threat either way. But we're going to get more information because this is released as of today, this morning. The National Hurricane Center officially designating recon flights for tomorrow and Thursday. They have one recon flight tomorrow morning, or it looks like tomorrow afternoon. We're going to have one recon flight and then maybe another one. And this is going to be for, obviously, a low-level mission to investigate 93L. And then we're going to have another recon Thursday morning, late Thursday morning at least. So we're going to get some recon in to 93L tomorrow and Thursday. So we're going to find out more and see whether or not this actually will have a chance to develop, or if this is just going to be a sloppy rainmaker for portions of the Southeast, which, once again, as I will remind you, is still significant and will still bring impacts in and of itself and still be consequential regardless of whether or not it develops. But in terms of the development prospects, we're going to be watching over the next several days for sure. With that being said, I'm going to end it off for today's video. Glad you tuned in today. Hope you enjoy what you saw. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace, love, and kindness to you all. I will continue to have updates throughout the day today on Twitter. So follow me if you've not already done so, and subscribe to me on YouTube too. And I'll be back with more here tomorrow.